Jesus Christ, that could have been a lot easier. That could have been a lot less stressful for us to watch on a Sunday. I was going into this game between the Patriots and the Bengals thinking, yeah, it's a nice one, but that's because Joe Burrow isn't going to be there. But no, we got injuries piling up. There's been interceptions, iffy first quarters, but doesn't matter because as we are sitting here, myself and Skye Pank, the New England Patriots are sitting at 10-2. Hello, and welcome to Past Pals. We're doing an experimental post-match reaction podcast. My name is Shane.
My name is Skye. I almost couldn't say my name there. It's the man flu, Shane, but we won.
We did win, just about. Before we get on, by the way, you're always great for the merch. I was the Peace Collective, the good folks at Peace Collective managed to send me in. Look at this, and that is my favorite Super Bowl win of the Patriots. And as it stands, that if the teams keep going on their current trajectories, we could be in for round 3 of
that
Patriots
looks
versus
magical on a black t-shirt, by the way with the blue and the red popping.
It's so good. It's so good. So thank you to all the good folks at the Peace Collective for that. But let's focus on this game very briefly. I had to get that out of the way first because I feel like I'm trying to match your merch game because you've got so much merch and I have like 3 things. But the Patriots came out 26-20 victors against the 3-8 Cincinnati Bengals. Messy game. Bengals had a chance to win it at the end, but defense managed to hold up. Give us your initial thoughts before we start breaking down some of the key aspects of this before what I think is going to be a shakier game now next week against the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is you just come out with another victory, especially with the 3 injuries on the O-line. I know Morgan Moses come back in, but obviously there was the other 2. And I think sometimes that can disrupt the flow of the offense. But Drake May did, like you said, we'll break it down properly, but it was a slow start. But overall, I'm just happy that we come out with the win. And weirdly, like, I think the more the game went on, I know I texted you this, I was getting flashbacks to old Joe Flacco and all those battles with the Ravens. And I was like, maybe it would have weirdly been easier if it was Joe Burrow because he would have been a bit rustier. Whereas Flacco just always seems to turn up against us. And there was almost some magic. But the secondary held up and we're first, right? In the AFC now.
Yes, because the Colts lost in overtime, and the Broncos are on a bye week this week, so they can't get another win for one more week at least. It's interesting you always talk with the Joe Flacco element because I think you always saw the trauma in Mike Tomlin's eyes a couple of weeks ago when he just did not want us to face Joe Flacco. And ended up going against him. So it is funny with the quarterback has been around for that long. You watch him and you think, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. But I'll be honest with you, like especially in the first quarter, the quarterback that worried me more was Drake May. And look, everybody's entitled to have a bad day, especially somebody who's been on a pretty good season. But then there's a relatively sloppy interception, a lot of passes in the first quarter that were overthrown. It just looked like the whole offense is out of sync, as if they weren't playing. As if the quarterback thought one play was being called and the rest of the offense thought another play was being called. A lot of disjointed things going on there. And again, because we came into this, I think maybe with an expectation that against the worst defense in the league in terms of point scoring, that the Patriots have an easy day here. It became messier, and there isn't a team in the AFC who has all things firing on all fronts. Not even the Broncos, who are sort of the consensus pick for being the best squad in the AFC right now, and the Patriots aren't any different. But I just wonder how you felt about that performance in the first half and how things got a little cleaner as the game went on.
Yeah, I think that there was one throw, it was a back shoulder to Austin Hooper, which was pretty insane at the end of the second quarter. Obviously, there's a big third down conversion to Demario Douglas for 37 yards. Those were the things that just made me a bit more reassured. There was also a really good Diggs catch. I think it was elements of like guys, of course it's Drake May throwing on the ball, but it's elements of guys having to make plays to almost settle him down because he did look rattled a few times, which was a shame. But like I said, that's going to happen with injuries on the O-line. I think, look, he's still through for what? Almost 294 yards.
294 yards, yeah.
Yeah, he's still through for that. I think that the main concern is, I know, again, we all focus on the quarterback. We didn't have a receiver. I know Hunter Henry, obviously, is a tight end, but what I'm getting at is the no wideout had over 50 receiving yards. And I think that would probably be more of a concern. We're going into later games against better teams. You can't rely on your tight end only to get you through. But look, the offense, I think you've got to give credit to the Bengals defense. They played better than we expected, especially against the run. Look, Vrabel tried to sprinkle 3 running backs in. It'll be interesting to see if he does that going forward, because we know that Travion is the hot hand at the moment. I was just more impressed with, you can be really tired late in the game, and today's NFL is catered towards the offense, but for Colton Davis to come up with 2 big plays at the end, and then Marcus Jones to essentially seal the win, I think that spoke volumes to, it's not just all Christian Gonzalez. I think the secondary as a whole really came up today when needed. And look, people will say Jamar Chase was out. There were still guys making plays on that Bengals offense. So big shout out to the Pats defense for getting it done.
Yeah, interesting. Actually, just when you talk about Christian Gonzalez, is that his one-on-one with T. Higgins was really good. T. Higgins didn't get more than 30 yards today, but then it's other players on the Bengals ended up getting a bit more room as the game went on. I don't know. Maybe it's because we're doing this in a reactionary space, and I'm coming off the stress of coming to this. I looked at this and I was like, just are there more frailties here than we realize, that by the time we get to play against the Bills and the Ravens after coming off the bye week, that it just becomes a more difficult task. Now, in fairness, you look at some of the things that have changed. Stephon Diggs only had 2 catches today. That might be just dependent on the way the game was called. His inspirational speech beforehand was pretty decent, but one of his catches, in fairness, is a really, really big one. In the fourth quarter, I think they get a fourth down conversion to keep the ball in Patriots' hands at a very crucial moment of the game. He seems to be a player, I think, more and more that seems to perform well under the primetime lights rather than on Sunday at 1:00 Eastern, which is going to be a good thing, obviously, coming up against the Giants on Monday night coming. But what struck me here is that usually with the McDaniel's system, it's quarterback is in, he has time, less time obviously because there's a lot of injuries to the offensive line. Will Campbell going out injured today is obviously a huge worry going ahead to the season. But there's always 2 options for him to hit. There's always 2 options for him. Usually it's Henderson and a wideout, or it's Henry and Diggs, or it's Booty and Douglas. He always has 2 options to give the double pump and double option to, and that just wasn't the case. I think Drake May did have to work harder today than he has had to previously. Bengals defense could take credit for that, but I definitely think that there's something with the way that the Patriots set up for this game, which has made it a little bit more turgid than I think we expected going into this game. Like I said, against a defense which is not one of the best in the league.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, come playoff time, you like to hope that we're well prepared, but it sounds like I'm giving our team an out here. I just think this is the weirdest season. Like, things are so open at the moment, and the home field advantage is going to be so important. I would still lean towards, you alluded to obviously saying that the Broncos is everybody's sort of like consensus pick for the best roster. I think if they end up with the 1 seed, then realistically they probably will make the Super Bowl because of how good their defense is. And I think there's still obviously a possibility of us making a Super Bowl because of how open it is. But today just sort of exposed the concerns that if there are injuries, our roster is probably not as deep as others in the league to compete. Because look, no disrespect to Ben Brown stepping in or Marcus Bryant, but I think other teams have better O-line depth. And this is the worst part of the year where you want to see your team get derailed. I mean, it's happened to the Bills for like 2 or 3 years in a row. It happened to them again on Thursday. They had 2 big injuries on their defense. So let's just hope that Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, I know it was only illness, but Jared Wilson, let's just hope that they're not long-term injuries, because that could really concern us. Because again, Shane, I think people look, there's been a lot of talk about Drake May this week from the likes of Cam Newton, Stephen A. Smith. I don't think the O-line it's obviously improved, but he's still taken a lot of sacks, and we've been under a lot of pressure.
But this is what has made May work this year, is the fact that he's been able to, and as was evident today in fairness to him, is that he's always able to extend plays with his legs and then find it. I mean, like that great pass against Stephon Diggs on Monday Night Football, or 2 Stephon Diggs on Monday Night Football in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago. An exact motion. He pulls out to the right-hand side, he finds his option, he picks it. That's been the way he's had to play this year, and he's been very comfortable in that. I think today was maybe a demonstration that sometimes if there's that extra little bit of pressure, or if wide receivers aren't getting the same level of separation, it just means you have to work a little bit too hard. And again, this wasn't, I feel like I'm talking as if this was a catastrophe. It wasn't. I just think we're at that stage now as Boston sports fans where there's expectation more than hope, and against a defense which, like I said, is not played better in fairness today, and I think there might have been a sort of revenge element considering what happened at week 1 of last season. But you're right. I mean, it's the nature of how the Patriots play, and there's a risk reward balance to that we've been getting a lot of reward, and it feels a little riskier when you're watching it today in a couple of those passages.
Yeah, I think if Marcus Jones, again, it sounds like stating the obvious, but if the defense doesn't come up with that pick six, I mean, I know we're talking about being worried about Flacco, but for a veteran to throw that in the flat without realizing that, he has sort of stepped up was actually quite strange. That's quite a rookie error from Flacco there. If that doesn't happen, I mean, I was getting to the point where I was like, we need something else to break for us. And look, there's two ways of looking at this. So I'm sure there'll be many people in the media, oh my God, they just squeezed past, a team like the Bengals. But you hope that these sort of wins, similar to the one against Atlanta, that they bode well for later in the season, that when you do get to the playoffs and you end up in these tight situations, you can at least look back to games like this that you've won and be like, look, we've been in adversity, whether it be injuries during a game or being down early because of, multiple things. So I guess the overall positive is that you come out with the win because, like we said in previous episodes talking about the schedule, at the end of the day, there's 32 professional teams, people who've put blood, sweat and tears to be professionals in the NFL. So to win any game in the National Football League is a big deal. And to win 10 out of 12, I think Mike Vrabel and the roster deserve a lot.
10 out of 12 and 9 in a row. 9 in a row, in fairness. We haven't lost since before the Steelers and Vikings
came on the road as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Maybe I need to take a step back and sort of, I guess, give praise for being able to lock down and I mean, particularly the defense in that situation when the Bengals had the ball to try and get the win and look like they could be in the position to nail us down here, and it didn't happen. So I don't know. Maybe like especially when we look across at the Giants, playing one of their best offensive games of the season, still managing to make an absolute spaghetti dinner out of it.
My annoyance is only coming. Sorry for anyone who's listening and not seeing the visual. The perfect wow, Sky's been harsh on Shane. He's trying to make him positive, but it's because when I know I text you saying I stumbled across my Cam Newton jersey. There's been a lot of comments this week. I also annoyingly stumbled across this from New Orleans, and I can hand on heart. I can hand on heart say,
no, put that away. Put that away. We are.
If Stephen A. Smith watches this, I will be binning this tonight. If I had a lighter right now, I'd be burning it. Get my quarterback's name out of your mouth. Get it out, right? And Cam, if anyone wants a Cam Newton jersey, look, it's still got the label on it. If anyone wants it, I'm taking offers. Both of them.
You're taking offers for a New England Cam Newton jersey.
Drake May again silencing doubters today. He doesn't watch First Take. He doesn't need to because
the only time anybody watches First Take is when you're in an airport or something and it's just on the TV, or you're like in a doctor's office. But anyway, sorry, that's.
I have to do a video of me binning it.
We've gotten into an anti-ESPN rant. You've been holding that up for so long. It's like I've been ready to. That's Stephen A. Smith, Mr. I'm going to push my solitaire app guy. It's gone.
Find it. Of all the days.
Of all the days to find it, you found it today.
But
I plugged in my mic. Hang on.
No,
you just talk for a sec.
Just carry on ranting. I mean, I would love for Stephen A. Smith to be like, who is this random? He'll probably call me Australian. He'd be like, who's this random Australian man ranting about?
What is that about Americans calling people from London Australian? Is this your Cockney accent that sounds?
I might have to be careful with how this mullet's. It's not a mullet. I wouldn't do that. But it's getting to a point now where
you've got the long and curlies. You can be.
I'm going for Tom Brady 2010, 2011.
So yeah. Just need the chin, you need to make sure you have a little hole in the chin. That's a key part of that look, and not everybody has the genetics.
No, I don't, and not everybody has Mike Vrabel's ability to not only pull off 10 wins in his first year as Pat's head coach, but also the tash. Vrabel rocking that tash.
I know. Well. Yeah, it is. It's very Thanksgiving it's homely. It's homely now. He has a mustache. This is a man in charge. I feel comfortable with this man looking after Drake May. You see the TikTok comment under, it was Drake May's other half who does a lot of cooking and stuff like this, and everyone's like, make sure you rub it in for good digestion and all this kind of thing.
Was Giselle never cooked or something like this? Cooked for us like this or something? Someone wrote.
Giselle never cooked. She didn't have TikTok, in fairness to her. I'm not.
I don't think when you're the number one supermodel in the world, you need to be cooking.
Well, you have to watch what you eat. Surely that's the most important time to cook.
But when Tom's making avocado toast, I'm pretty sure he wasn't back then, but
Yeah, avocado toast is more of a millennial thing. Come here, let's have a quick look around what's happening, because as we're recording this, the late window's on, but the early window is done, right?
Yeah.
Tell me to what extent that you are afraid of other teams in the AFC. We're going to talk later on. We're going to do a bigger episode when we do a preview of the Giants game, right? But as we're feeling now, and look, we're talking whilst action is still going on, but I think in the late window, most of the AFC's top riders, as we're sitting here, the AFC playoff looks like this, and the Patriots are number 1 seed at 10-2, Broncos 9-2, number 2 seed. They're on a bye week this week. Colts have dropped to 8-3 after losing at Arrowhead Stadium. The Ravens are now at 6-5 after beating the Jets. They have 2 key games against the Steelers to try and top their division, and then in between they have to play against us. And I think they have a game against Buffalo as well. There's the Chargers at 7-4. There's the Buffalo Bills, we know lost on Thursday night. So we now have a 3-game lead over the Buffalo Bills, and we still have to play them in Foxborough. And you have the Jags, Steelers, Texans, and of course the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 6-5. And let's not forget the Miami Dolphins, who are still in the playoff one, technically speaking.
Don't make me choke on my painkillers.
Yeah, you're still suffering from your man flu. Who among those do you feel has, are you worried about? Because we're now at a point now with 10 wins. Regardless of what happens at the end of the season, I think we're fairly confident in saying that the Patriots are going to be in the playoffs. Even if some collapse happens and it's 10-7, 10-7 is probably still good enough to get in the playoffs. With a couple of head-to-head in the AFC right now, and the Patriots will probably get another couple of wins at least, regardless of what happens in the tougher games. Who are you afraid of? What's your stock check on the rest of the AFC?
I hate to say this, but I didn't want the Chiefs to win that game. I didn't either. I know the Colts. No, I 100% agree with you. I know the Colts that would still be the top seed in all this, right? But something about knowing that the Chiefs season is done, as it was 8:00 UK and Irish time, the Chiefs season was done, now that their season's still alive, and they get to go into Dallas on Thursday night and try to really put some steam back into it. I'll get my Romo jersey on Thursday, that's for sure, to try and bring some bad luck to the Chiefs. I think I might be stealing this from you from a conversation you might have said, but the Chiefs winning today made me think, oh no. Like, the thing is, if we played the Colts, you know how I feel about Daniel Jones. I'm not here to shit on any professional quarterback. Obviously, it's me talking on the other side of the pond. I just mean is that in a playoff game, I'd be more than happy knowing that our run defense has been good against elite running backs, and that we'd be able to contain the threat of him and Jonathan Taylor. But with the Chiefs, it almost like if we ended up playing them, and I'm sure the Broncos feel the same, Bo Nix, Drake May type situation has the feel of when Brady went into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs the year that we beat the Rams. I'm sure you said it to me.
There's almost too many narratives with the Chiefs specifically. There's almost too many narratives that the idea of them coming into Foxborough, in the playoffs. Yeah, I think it's almost too much fuel for them. They're the ones, genuinely, over the Broncos, who I've said and I've been proved wrong, I think are a fraudulent team based on how a lot of their results have gone, but they keep winning. So my views keep being shut up on that. The Colts, even though they're the highest scoring offense in the league and nearly won an Arrowhead today, you still get the feeling you can beat them in the playoffs. And like we saw them in Germany, we know how explosive they can be. Who else? There's nobody in the AFC North I don't think that we can beat in a playoff situation.
No, again, Lamar and Derek Henry. I mean, Henry was coached by Vrabel. Lamar's obviously come back from injury. Again, I think we could stop the run. It's only the Chiefs really I'm worried about. I'm worried about the Broncos as well. I think their defense is probably the best. in the league. And also, I was saying on podcast last week, this is a stat that I randomly found. Bo Nix can be the first quarterback other than Brady and Peyton Manning to lead the league in pass attempts and take his team to the playoffs. That's normally a stat reserved for teams that are, losing a lot of. And again, he's probably not as polished as Drake May yet, but he clearly has something in the fourth quarter, something about him to win games. And he did that against the Chiefs.
Yeah, plus the Broncos defense is sublime.
And you look at how we were against the Bengals. I mean, look, a defense that most people probably say top 3 worst in the league, right? And they got to us today. All right, again, O-line injuries. But let's just say, touch wood not, if Will Campbell's ankle injury, I think it was, is bad, and Will's great, and then we have to play the Broncos defense at some point. Or even a Chiefs defense that's got Super Bowl winners on it and thrives to play in the playoffs. It's not good.
The Chiefs defense, I think, is super scary. It's their passing game is what's letting them down.
Yeah.
It's the Chiefs defense which I'd be really afraid of in any situation. And then even that passing game, I think right now the Chiefs' weakness is actually Patrick Mahomes. Now he ended up trying to he took today's game by the scruff of the neck and won it by himself with a few runs, and eventually he got his wide receivers, because Rashee Rice was dropping more balls than a blind juggler today. It was ridiculous at certain points. But that won't happen in January. You can almost trust that it wouldn't. So I'm with you.
It's that division. And again, if the Chargers were healthy, they would probably be the third one that I would go for. Look, we'll see how. The interesting thing is, like you said, we're going to play the Ravens after the bye and the Bills. The annoying thing with the Bills is of course, it's a completely different team to the team, the Matt Jones year, and that's no thing. But the Bills will be, very eager to play us in the playoffs, even if we sweep them this year.
I'll be honest. This is a very, very dangerous sentence I'm about to admit. They're the team because even when we were bad, we played the Bills well, and the Bills I think are having question marks over Joe Brady's position. They're having question marks over how good their defense actually is. They're not passing the ball off to the running backs nearly enough. Their game plan is completely wrong. I think we have their number. I think when we go in there, I'm far more confident about that Bills game than I'm about the Ravens game. I'm really worried about the Ravens game. Yeah. I even think that the Giants on Monday Night Football is a bit of a bananas game, but that Bills game, I'm confident, and I will be confident in playoffs as well.
Well, we know the Bills are going to get in. Like, weirdly, we still hold our own fate, even in the sense of like us beating the Ravens would be so beneficial, because then you'd much rather play the Steelers. Like, obviously, to have the 5 turnovers and lose to them, that should have been a blowout win for us. If you can knock the Ravens out of the playoffs, then you're potentially playing, an easier opponent. I used that term loosely at some point, but look again, it's such an open year, because the fact that even the Jags at the moment are in, but then the Texans' defense is as good as it is.
Well, the Jags at the moment they're in. They're currently losing 14-10 to Arizona as we're speaking. So
again, look, people have spoke about the Texans' offense and it not thriving, but look at that. You wouldn't want to play Texans defense either.
No,
that's how they could be a banana skin for anyone. So it is so open. But if I was power ranking unbiasedly the AFC, I would say after today you would go Broncos, Pats, Chiefs, Colts. You'd have to put the Chiefs above the Colts simply because I know that I'm just talking. I'm eliminating records and talking about
in terms of playoff danger.
Yeah, I'd say Broncos, because you don't want to go to Mile High. If they get no one wants that. So Broncos, then us. We've got 10 wins. We are first in the conference. We deserve that respect.
I see. I was about to argue with you in favor of the Colts there, but I think today's results might change that. You're right. The Patriots are probably in that power ranking situation slightly above the Colts, but
no one.
Mind you, the Colts are going to Arrowhead and us going to Cincinnati were two different challenges.
But the Colts defense is so good, and I love Jonathan Taylor. You know that. And again, I keep caveating saying I'm not, pooping all over Daniel Jones. But let's be honest.
The Daniel Jones shakiness in the second half today showed a complete lack of killer instinct, which is what they needed to win that game. and then
Yeah.
it let the Chiefs back in. So I'm with you on that one. I'm 100% with you on the Daniel Jones.
Look at me trying to be the professional one for one. And
I know.
I'm trying.
And me with the hot takes.
But the thing is, I'm sorry, not that anyone would say, if you asked anyone in the opponents, if you were asking to rank quarterbacks, who would you rather come into your stadium in the playoffs, Drake May or Daniel Jones? Of course, they're all going to say Daniel Jones. And it's the same absolute case for even though people would be, oh my God, same for Bo Nix. He's got great arm talent. I'm sorry, Daniel Jones doesn't have great arm talent. If you put him on the team that doesn't have an elite O-line, an elite defense, and the best running back in the league, he's nothing. Like I said, if the Colts won the Super Bowl, I will not watch the NFL anymore. That is how confident I am.
See, I love how you said, look at me being the professional guy. And then by the end of the sentence, you were like, if the Colts in the Super Bowl, I am done with this sport. And I'm like, oh God, here we go.
I'll play fantasy football. I just won't watch the game.
No, see, I still think Jonathan Taylor should be in the conversation for MVP. So then if that's their route to victory, so I don't know. But look, here's the funny thing about this entire conversation. We're having this entire conversation pre-Thanksgiving. That Thanksgiving threshold is, before Christ and after Christ. It's a completely different world for a lot of teams and how people play. So interesting to see how it gets on. Right, I think we should start rolling back, because as we are recording, the Shedeur Sanders is currently beating the Las Vegas Raiders by a score of 14-3. The Cardinals are beating the Jags. People who might be listening or watching back to this are like, well, obviously they can sort of decode as to what time we're recording this.
I've got Eagles Cowboys there.
Yeah, the Eagles are beating the Cowboys.
That Kelly Green jersey. We will have an episode one. I know we said where their idea, like, it is a great jersey. I hate to say it, but it is.
And Kirk Cousins is after scoring a touchdown. He's after passing a touchdown against the Saints. The hell,
something in. Also, I just thought of, when you're saying Thanksgiving's games, when was the last Patriots Thanksgiving game? I remember us playing the Lions one year.
Was it the Buff Fumble? That was a Thanksgiving game.
Ah, yes, because they were doing the whole yesterday.
Yeah. So I do remember that.
Of one it was, I was saying about the hair, the Tom Brady hair. It would have been 2010 or 2011 where we destroyed the Lions. Anyone who fancies a deep dive into the archives, we haven't played in a while. It must be the Jets one and then the Lions one before that. Yeah,
the Butt Fumble, 1984, 2000, 2002, 2010, and 2012, the 49-19 victory. So I think other teams
game next year.
Give us the Black Friday game. The Black Friday game is the best game to watch, because from our point of view, it kicks off at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. That is that is elite. I remember watching.
Day. Give us a Christmas game.
Not Christmas Day. It's the one day
you'd miss it.
It's the one day I can't watch. If it's like the 1 a.m. kickoff, fair enough. Other than that, like,
all right, we want a Black Friday game, and we want to be flown out for it.
My God, you're making demands. I'd be happy if the Patriots decided to play in Europe at some point in the next 3 years. But no, you want to be at the Black Friday game.
I want a Black Friday. I want a red carpet when we land in Boston, whenever we do that next year.
What is this miracle on Tottenham Court Road? What the hell is this?
I want the European game, and I want now the Black Friday game, and I want a Super Bowl, if not this year, next year, to win it, or two.
Hang on a second, right? Before we finish up, because news came out that we know for sure that when it comes to international games next year, you can say it, the New Orleans Saints, but you can say it in French.
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Yeah, but you did a fantastic TikTok during the week.
Oh, I'm really scared now, but you want me to say the New Orleans Saints in French?
Yeah, but la nouvelle, whatever that is.
I want to hear you do it first.
I can't speak French.
La Nouvelle Orleans.
There we go. So the reason I'm saying that is because we know for a fact that the New Orleans Saints are playing in Paris, and that the Washington Commanders will be the home team for a game next year internationally somewhere, either in London or Brazil. I think is the thing. But we're not playing against either of those teams. Wait, our NFC opponents next year on the road are the Bears, the Lions, and an NFC West opponent, which is to be determined, which will be whoever finishes in the same position as us. So the Rams.
I've just realised.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've come close to the camera. The Lions. Thanksgiving.
The week could be on Thanksgiving next year because we're
Lions
playing at the
on
Lions.
the road.
Oh my God. You're actually right. We could be on Thanksgiving next year.
We're going to Detroit.
We're going to Detroit for Thanksgiving next year. Oh my God. Let's fly to Michigan when it's really cold. Actually, tell you what, right? I'll tell you what, we'll do that if we can go to the Michigan-Ohio State game next year. Because I'm pretty sure, oh no, that's in Ann Arbor this year, so it's in Ohio next year. Never mind. I've always wanted to go to the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Ford Field on Thanksgiving.
We can do the whole John Madden turducken.
That part of America.
You know people in Michigan.
Minnesota, Milwaukee. It's America, like saying, baby. They don't mind the drive.
That's like saying I know somebody in Italy, but in fact they live in Greece.
Yeah, but in America, that's actually such a good comparison.
That's actually worse. Minnesota to Michigan isn't even at the same time zone.
But in America, they're like, oh, I'll drive you 8 hours. I don't know what the drive is. It's all along Lake Michigan, isn't
it? Believe it or not, Michigan, as in Detroit, isn't on Lake Michigan. It's on the river between Lake Erie and Lake Huron, I think, or Lake Superior. I think it's Lake Huron. Yeah, but Lake Michigan is on the west of the state of Michigan, which goes over to Chicago. I say that despite the fact I've never been to that part of the world.
So good. Chicago on the road. That we've got a few games we could tick off next year, and then we get to do these in person.
Well, if the Bears see, this is why I'm picking up, because the Spain game is very likely to be the Bears next year. So
you think this, don't you?
So as I'm saying, Bears, Patriots. Caleb Williams versus Drake May, the number 1 overall pick versus the best quarterback of that draft class. Yeah. The Galacticos that Spain missed because the Dolphins Commanders game they were given this year was a pile of dog shit. So that's what Florentino Perez wants, and just absolutely send it, absolutely send it.
And our good friend Adam Rank could join us in Madrid.
Yes, that'd be great. We can do a little cross because it was his advice. It was his advice that we should start doing team-specific things that made us start this project in the first place. Yeah, there you go. We're live planning. All of our viewers are like, we're just live planning how all of our money is going to be spent next year. After the World Cup, of course. Go on, Troy Parrott.
Oh, actually, sorry, I noticed a segue and we're still live. I said to Nathan today I might fly over to Ireland for the playoffs in March.
That's assuming we make the playoffs. Oh, those playoffs?
Yeah.
The soccer playoffs?
To support.
We're all heading to Prague. What are you doing?
Yeah, but the final's in Dublin if you win the semis.
If we win the semis against Denmark, and the last time we played a game against Denmark in Dublin to get to the World Cup, it was Depressionville because we lost like 6-1. It was so bad that the barman in the pub I was in forgot to charge me for about 4 pints of Beamish. It was great.
Ericsson scored a hat trick.
I've erased it from my mind. The same way that you've erased all the Giants beating the Patriots from your mind until we do it. Until the episode that we're going to do this coming Friday or Saturday. What day suits you best?
Oh, it's got to be the earlier the better.
Friday then. Let's do it. Black Friday, when the Black Friday game is on. The same way we're doing this now while the game is on in the background. So who's playing in that match? The Black Friday game this year is between the Eagles and the Bears. That'd be a good game. It'd be a really good game. The Bears are looking good, you know. Could we see a repeat of Super Bowl 20? Just obviously with a better result this time, hopefully. Fingers crossed. You know, we're not playing against the 85 Bears. We're playing against Caleb Williams.
Well, the only good thing about that year is we stopped the Dolphins from winning it because they did beat the Bears that season, I think.
Well, that's the most important thing, is that Dan Marino, because of us, Dan Marino it can be confidently described as the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Fair play to you, Dan. Right, that's it from us here. Pat's Pals. Let's get back to watching the action. We'll be talking more Giants in the lead up to their that clash this week because Skye loves the Giants. Don't you love the Giants?
Goodbye.
Good luck.